On the first day of the Lunar New Year, news came from Missouri, United States, that the state had filed a claim against the CCP for the COVID-19 epidemic, with the amount reaching $25 billion. The trial of the case ended a few days ago, and the plaintiff made it clear that if the CCP refused to pay compensation, the CCP's assets would be seized. Andrew Bailey, Attorney General of Missouri, issued a statement saying, "Today, we formally took the CCP to court and demanded that it be held responsible for the global pandemic of COVID-19. Missouri is the first state in the United States to sue the CCP on this issue. The judge actively interacted with us during the trial and asked detailed questions. We are confident that we will win this case." It is reported that the trial of the Missouri versus China case was held in a federal court in Cape Girardeau and lasted only about an hour. The court stated that the prosecutors presented a large amount of indisputable evidence that the CCP had caused harm to Missourians by maliciously concealing, releasing, and spreading the Wuhan virus to the world. The court is expected to make a ruling around February. Given that the CCP is unlikely to appear in court, the probability of the prosecutor winning the case is extremely high. The judge made it clear that he was inclined to rule in favor of Missouri, said a statement from State Attorney General Billy. Billy's statement on Chinese New Year's Eve mentioned that, so far, the CCP has refused to appear in court. In April 2020, the Republican-led state of Missouri filed a lawsuit against the CCP in a U.S. federal court, accusing the CCP of causing and exacerbating the COVID-19 pandemic, especially hindering the production, procurement, and import and export of medical equipment such as personal protective equipment, PPE, used to fight the pandemic. Political observers analyze that if the case is won, the CCP will inevitably have to pay compensation, Chinese capital will be deducted, and as a result, many parts of the world may follow suit to hold the CCP accountable. This would help the Chinese people understand that the CCP's so-called claim that the new coronavirus came from the United States is a lie, which would deliver a devastating blow to the CCP. The CCP's regime, economy, public sentiment, and diplomacy are already in jeopardy. This is worse than ever, and may cause a regime collapse due to internal disputes. Therefore, the significance of Missouri's prosecution is by no means limited to economic punishment. At the same time, on January 23rd, Philippine Justice Minister Crispin Remulla announced that the Philippines plans to file a new lawsuit with the PCA or ICJ, accusing China of illegal behavior in the South China Sea, especially large-scale destruction of coral reefs and marine ecology within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, EEZ. A report released by the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, in 2023, a Washington think tank, shows that China has reclaimed more than 4,600 acres of land in the South China Sea. As early as 2016, the Philippines filed a lawsuit against China's 9-line sovereignty claim at the International Court of Arbitration for the Sea and won the case. The court ruled that China's sovereignty claim lacked a legal basis. However, China refused to accept the ruling and ignored international law. In contrast, the U.S. lawsuit has a more direct impact on China. If China refuses to comply with the court's ruling, the U.S. government has the right to seize its assets in the United States, which will undoubtedly cause great trouble for China's top leaders and may also lead to dissatisfaction among Chinese companies. Although the lawsuit in the Philippines will not directly lead to economic sanctions, its legal and diplomatic significance is considerable, and will create sustained international pressure on the CCP. Against the backdrop of an increasingly complex global situation, the CCP has had a bad start to the new year. From the United States to the Philippines, from legal proceedings to economic pressure, the CCP is experiencing a crisis of being encircled and suppressed from all sides. In the eyes of Western countries, the CCP, known as the Satanic Serpent, is facing an insurmountable fate. In the coming months, the CCP will not only face domestic economic difficulties and public dissatisfaction, but also legal accountability and sanctions from the international community. The bad luck of the new year is probably just the beginning. According to a report by the Financial Times on January 31st, citing several current and former U.S. officials, there are signs that the CCP is building a giant military command center west of Beijing, which may be the largest in the world and 10 times the size of the Pentagon in the United States. U.S. military experts have determined that it could be used to house large, sturdy bunkers in the future, including shelters for military leaders during nuclear war. It is assessed that major construction work will begin around mid-2024. 3 people familiar with the matter revealed that several intelligence analysts have named the project Beijing Military City. The report stated that the construction site was very busy earlier in January this year. Although there were no obvious military personnel or equipment on site, there were signs at the construction site warning against operating drones or taking photos. According to a reporter's visit, the entrance guard said, "No entry," and refused to discuss the project. A store owner in the area described the construction site as a military area. On mainland Chinese social networking sites, people have been speculating why the houses in the Qinglong Lake area were razed to the ground. A user posted on Baidu, "Are they going to build China's Pentagon in Qinglong Lake?" Several former and current U.S. officials told the Financial Times that the intelligence community is closely monitoring the construction site. The report stated that, according to U.S. intelligence, Xi Jinping, who is also the president of the Communist Party of China and the chairman of the Central Military Commission of the Communist Party of China, has ordered the PLA to develop the necessary capabilities to capture Taiwan by 2027. Notably, 2027 marks the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Communist Party of China. A Chinese researcher analyzed that based on satellite images, the new site has all the characteristics of a sensitive military facility, including high-strength reinforced concrete, deep tunnels, and a size nearly 10 times larger than the U.S. Pentagon. 2 people close to Taiwan's Ministry of Defense said that the PLA appears to be building a new command center. Rennie Babiars, a former image analyst at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, said that, according to satellite images, at least 100 cranes were being used for the underground infrastructure project, and there may be underground passages connecting these facilities. A former U.S. intelligence official stated that Chinese leaders may believe the new facilities will help enhance defense capabilities against U.S. bunker-buster firepower and nuclear offensives. So, can Xi Jinping's bunker withstand a U.S. precision strike? It is said that Xi Jinping has a bunker in the West Finger Center, known as the deepest in the world. Hong Kong's South China Morning Post reported on January 7, 2018, that a government-funded geological survey found that a nuclear bunker built for the top leadership of the Chinese Communist Party, along with its subordinates, troops, and staff, is buried more than 2 kilometers underground in a limestone cave. The bunker is located 20 kilometers northwest of Beijing's Zhongnanhai, where China's national leaders work, and beneath Xi'an National Park. The facility can provide drinking water for 1 million people.
Hostile anti-Japanese propaganda has caused businesses to flee, increasing unemployment in Chinese localities. Recently, Japanese beverage company Yakult Honsha announced the closure of its beverage production facility in Shanghai. The Shanghai branch will also be dissolved and transferred to the Chinese side, ending the operation of a brand that has existed for more than 20 years. In 2023, this branch had a workforce of more than 4,000 people. When the factory closes, all workers will have their labor contracts terminated, leaving them uncertain about their future. The Chinese government reassured that the closure is only to reduce fixed costs and improve production efficiency, with plans to merge 4 large factories into 3. The Shanghai business will be handed over to Yakult China. Japanese brand Yakult entered the Chinese market in 2001 with its first factory in Guangzhou, followed by a Shanghai factory in 2006. Yakult quickly became a nationwide phenomenon with its iconic little red bottle. However, sales have fallen sharply from a peak of 7.61 million bottles per day in 2018 to 2.53 million bottles in September 2023, due to a slowdown in Chinese consumer spending, competition from domestic brands, and high production costs. In addition, geopolitical tensions and the U.S.-China trade war have intensified since Trump became president, making it more difficult for Japanese companies to operate in China. Not only Yakult, but the Japanese supermarket chain Ito-Yokado also announced the closure of 2 branches in Chengdu and restructuring operations to improve profitability. A branch in Beijing will be converted into a food supermarket. Ito-Yokado, part of Japan's largest retail group, 7&I Holdings, introduced a new shopping experience when it entered the Chinese market in 1996. However, the company has also faced difficulties, especially when the Chinese government incited anti-Japanese sentiment. Since 2014, Ito-Yokado's presence in China has shrunk significantly. The pandemic and the ongoing economic downturn have accelerated the withdrawal of many Japanese businesses, including major retailers such as Xi'an and Xi'an, which have also closed numerous branches in major cities such as Shanghai, Shenzhen, and Chengdu. Xi'an Japan entered the Chinese market in 1996, establishing its headquarters in the Greater Bay Area and operating over 100 stores under the Xi'an brand. Xi'an Supermarket, once a favorite among Shenzhen residents in the 1990s, has faced continuous losses since 2016, with annual revenue of nearly 10 billion Hong Kong dollars, but 700 million Hong Kong dollars in losses for 8 consecutive years. Its market value has dropped to 100 million Hong Kong dollars, resulting in widespread store closures. Many Japanese companies are also downsizing or exiting China. Ajinomoto sold 3 frozen food plants in July, Shiseido halted its high-end Baum Cosmetics line in June, and Nissan closed its Changzhou factory, cutting 10% of its production in China. Honda has shut down operations in Guangdong and Hubei, reducing capacity by 290,000 vehicles annually, while Nippon Steel exited a joint venture with Bao Steel, slashing production in China by 70%. DAIC plans to withdraw from its LCD panel materials business by year-end. Japanese investment in China has declined for 7 consecutive quarters, with sharp reductions in the automobile sector as a price war has slashed sales by over 20% and triggered factory closures. This withdrawal has caused significant unemployment and disrupted supply chains, dealing a major blow to the local economy. In Suzhou, where many Japanese companies operate, 20,000 businesses have reportedly closed this year, with each foreign company's exit costing hundreds or thousands of jobs. Once bustling with major firms like ADM, Microsoft, and Apple, Suzhou's industrial park now has many shuttered factories and empty office buildings. Streets are deserted after 9 p.m., and foreign investment and workers have shifted to Southeast Asia. In 1984, the Japanese company Aurora Group established its first factory in Suzhou, Jiangsu Province. Since then, the number of Japanese companies in the region has increased sharply, with more than 6,800 companies entering the province, of which Suzhou accounts for over 3,000. Data from 2022 shows that Japanese investment plays an important role in Suzhou, where more than 5,000 Japanese citizens currently reside. However, the recent decline in Japanese investment is having significant consequences for the city. By 2021, Japan ranked as Suzhou's 3rd largest foreign investor, with $13.64 billion in total investment, accounting for 53.9% of the province's FDI. Major Japanese firms like Toyota, Panasonic, and Hitachi invested in sectors such as automobiles, electronics, and biomedicine. However, Japanese companies accelerated their exit from Suzhou after a car crash involving a Japanese mother and child in the Suzhou High-Tech Park in August. Since then, many companies and families have left China, though the exact numbers remain unclear. Mr. Yaita cited 3 reasons for the withdrawal: high risk, poor attitudes, and declining profits. Anti-Japanese sentiment fueled by education programs has raised safety concerns, while geopolitical tensions, such as U.S. pressure on Japan to limit China's semiconductor access, have added strain. Additionally, over half of 1,800 surveyed Japanese firms reported greater losses than the previous year, driving a shift toward other Asian markets.
Honda and Nissan of Japan close factories and production lines, accelerating withdrawal from China. Preparing for war, the CCP is accelerating its stockpiling of food and metal supplies.